we need to step back. And, I mean, way, way back.
Further than most people think.
Yeah, forget everything you learned about dinosaurs ruling the Earth.
Right.
We're going earlier. We're talking about, what, 265 million years ago?
At least, to a time when all the continents were sort of jammed together into one supercontinent, Pangea.
And the kings of this sprawling ancient world were not the terrible lizards.
No, they were something arguably more bizarre, more ancient, and frankly, absolutely terrifying. We're talking about the Gorgonopsians.
The first true apex predators
Ah.
to really dominate the entire planet. And this is millions of years before the Triassic period even gets going.
Right, and when you see the reconstructions, you immediately get it. They look like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Totally. They're these massive saber-toothed hunters with this incredible mashup of features. It's like half reptile, half mammal.
They're the kind of monster that proves evolution has a serious imagination.
And the name is just perfect. Gorgonopsian.
It comes straight from Greek mythology, the Gorgons, like Medusa.
Yeah.
Monsters that could turn you to stone with a look.
It fits. I mean, these things were the top of the food chain, some getting as big as a modern grizzly bear.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack what made these ancient rulers so successful, what combination of traits made them such specialized killing machines.
And then we have to look at why they just vanished so abruptly and figure out the surprising legacy they actually left behind.
Let's get into it. The Permian period is often, it's overlooked. It's kind of bookended by these huge extinction events.
Right.
But the late Permian, that was the Gorgonopsian golden age. They show up around 265 million years ago, and they get bigger and fiercer until they are, without a doubt, the dominant force everywhere they live.
Their anatomy is so fascinating because of where they sit on the evolutionary tree.
Yeah.
They're not dinosaurs. They're not really traditional reptiles.
No, they evolved from the very first proto-mammals to branch away from that main reptilian line. So what you get is this amazing biological fusion dance, for lack of a better term.
I like that. It's like a Komodo dragon fused with a saber-toothed cat.
That's a great way to think about it. And that combination is everything. On the mammal side, their skulls were surprisingly advanced.
They had different kinds of teeth, right?
Yeah.
Not just rows of identical spikes.
Exactly. Differentiated teeth. Incisors, those massive canines, and even molars for slicing. That's a fundamentally mammalian thing. But the biggest deal, the real game changer, was their posture.
The legs. This is huge.
It's everything. Instead of that sprawling sort of paddle-like stance you see on a crocodile or their ancestors.
Their legs were tucked directly under their body.
Right under them, just like a modern wolf or a bear. And that allows for a much more efficient movement for sustained travel.
We even have evidence that some of them could run, right? Like properly gallop.
We do. A species like Inostrancevia had these long limbs that strongly suggest it could gallop. So now you're picturing a bear-sized predator that can actually run you down.
Okay, so that's the mammal side. But the reptilian part is where it gets really, really weird.
This is where you see them clinging to their ancient past.
Let's start with the parietal eye, the third eye.
Yes, high up on top of the skull. It's this incredible biological throwback. It wasn't for sight, not in the way you and I see.
It was for monitoring, right?
It was. It's photoreceptive, so it senses light and the time of day. For an animal that was cold-blooded, or at least partially, this is a vital survival tool.
So it's basically a built-in thermostat that runs on daylight.
In a way, yeah. It connects to the pineal gland and helps the animal regulate its body temperature. It tells it, when it's warm enough to go hunting or when it needs to find shelter.
Which means, for all their power, they weren't as active as a true mammal.
Right. Their speed would have come in short, high-speed bursts, not a marathon chase.
That makes perfect sense, especially when you look at their brain. More reptilian, right? A bigger hind brain for basic functions, not a huge forebrain for complex stuff.
Exactly. And there was one more big reptilian constraint from their neck. It was pretty stiff.
It can move side to side.
Lots of side-to-side slashing movement, but they really struggled with moving it up and down. And that creates a massive problem when you think about their main weapon.
The fangs. Those gigantic saber-like canines, I've heard them described as being banana-sized.
They're magnificent and absolutely essential for tackling the kind of armored prey they were hunting. But there's a problem. When you stab something that's covered in bone, Your teeth are going to break.
So evolution needed an insurance policy.
It did, and the solution was redundancy.
Uh-huh.
All Gorgonopsians could replace their canines multiple times. A fang shatters in a fight.
And a backup dagger starts growing on the other
It
side.
starts growing in, yeah. But that could take weeks. Imagine being the top predator and losing your main weapon. You'd be stuck eating carrion if you were lucky.
And this all circles back to the stiff neck. If you have these huge fangs and you can't really move your head up and down, how do you even get your mouth open wide enough to bite something big?
You've hit on the core mechanical challenge. The fangs themselves would get in the way of the kill. It sounds like an evolutionary dead end.
So how do they solve it?
With a spectacular innovation. Their jaws were double-jointed.
Double-jointed.
Yeah. Think of it less like a simple hinge and more like a specialized door hinge that can fold way past 90 degrees. This let them open their mouths almost vertically without unhinging the jaw.
Wow. So that gave them the clearance they needed to actually use those sabers. It's like a software patch for a hardware problem.
It's a mechanical masterpiece. And to power that bite, they had immense temporalis muscles on the sides of their head. It's what gives their skulls that bumpy, terrifying look. But it generated the force needed to drive those fangs home.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We're on Pangea, this one giant landmass. But we only find their fossils in two places, Southern Africa and Russia.
Right. And that's a huge gap. It's a puzzle.
If they were the apex predators, why weren't they everywhere?
The answer is climate. Pangea was not a uniform environment. The middle of it, the central part, was mostly scorching deserts and vast impassable swamps.
Not a great place to find food.
Not at all. Gorgonopsians needed huge herds of big grazers to survive, and those grazers could only live in the cooler, temperate steppes at the poles, what is now, southern Africa and Russia.
So it's just like today. You find polar bears in the Arctic and grizzly bears in North America. Different species evolved to dominate their own specific regions.
Precisely. And the most famous of all, the king of the north, was Inostrancevia, the biggest and best-studied Gorgonopsian from the Russian steppes.
And the size of this thing is just iconic, about 3.5 meters long, maybe 300 kilograms. So longer than a grizzly bear, but maybe a bit shorter, with that classic bear-sized skull.
And its prey was the ultimate challenge, an animal called Scutosaurus.
The armored cow.
The armored cow of the Permian, yeah. It was slow, cumbersome, and covered in thick bone plates. A walking fortress.
So how does an Inostrancevia get through that armor without shattering both of its fangs every time?
It didn't fight messy. It wasn't about grappling or chewing. It used a precision strike. Very much like a modern jaguar hunting a caiman.
So it's not attacking the body?
No, it would ignore the armored body and target the one weak spot, the head. It would use that powerful bite to drive its canines straight through the small brain case. A quick, efficient kill.
Just incredible specialization. And we should probably mention its southern counterpart, Smilossaurus.
We should. The African giant. Its claim to fame was having the longest fangs relative to its body size of any Gorgonopsian. Just pure, deadly specialization. They were the undisputed champions, perfectly tuned to their world.
But that kind of extreme specialization, that reliance on one specific thing, it can make you very vulnerable.
Extremely. And for the Gorgonopsians, their reign didn't just end, it ended violently, catastrophically.
We're talking about the Permian-Triassic extinction event, the Great Dying.
The single worst mass extinction in the history of life on Earth. It wiped out something like 90% of all marine species and 70% of life on land.
Those numbers they're almost impossible to really comprehend. A total planetary reset.
It was triggered by massive volcanic activity, mostly in what's now Siberia. It just pumped unbelievable amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere.
Which led to everything bad. Global warming, acid rain.
Acid rain, forest fires, ocean acidification. There's even evidence the ozone layer collapsed, bathing the planet in harmful radiation.
The entire food chain just snapped.
Completely. The huge, slow grazers, the Scutosaurus they depended on, they died out from starvation and habitat loss. And without their prey, the apex predators, no matter how ferocious, they followed very quickly.
And that cleared the stage.
It cleared the stage for the next group to take over, the archosaurs, the ancestors of the dinosaurs.
So what is their final legacy then? Are they just a scary footnote before the age of dinosaurs?
Not at all. Not quite. Their most important legacy is in who survived.
Right. Not all of their prey died out.
Exactly. Some of the smaller, more adaptable proto-mammals, distant relatives of the Gorgonopsians themselves, they scraped by. They survived in the shadows of the rising dinosaurs.
And those little survivors went on to become the ancestors of, well, Us, all mammals.
All of us. Every mouse, every whale, every human.
It's a staggering thought that these terrifying half-mammal saber-tooths almost ate our earliest ancestors. It was that close a call.
It really was.
So here's something to think about. Imagine if that extinction event had never happened. Imagine if these hyper-specialized hybrid predators had continued to evolve for another 50 million years. What other bizarre evolutionary mergers, half reptile, half mammal, might we be digging up today? That's something for you to mull over on your own.